Hey guys, my name is Len. Welcome to my garage. Today we're going to be making some cheap and easy to do acoustic panel like this one. Oh, this one's pretty big, but the ones we're going to be making are gonna be smaller. So stay tuned and I'll show you how to do this in detail. I'm in the process of converting one of my guest bedrooms into a video studio. Unfortunately, I didn't realize how much echo this room had, and it affects sound of my voice even when I'm recording on lapel mic. To remedy this issue, I decided to build my own acoustic panels. There's plenty of videos online that show you how to do this, and every approach is slightly different. My goal was to do it fast, easy and cheap, which means using resources from local hardware stores. For the frame size, I will be using 1x3x8 pine boards, because sound insulation material that I used was 3 inches thick. These are relatively cheap and light. For each panel, you will need one full 8-foot board and 2/5 of the second one. I went with slightly more expensive boards, with just under $5, because cheaper ones in the store were in very bad shape. For the back of the frame, I'm using 1/4-inch hardboard, sold in 4x8 foot lengths. You should be able to make backs for 5 to 6 panels out of single board. Main part of the panels is this Rockwool insulation batting. My local stores only carried Sleep and Sound kind, which might not be absolutely the best, but it's perfectly fine for my panels. Unfortunately, they only had 16-inch wide pieces. 24-inch would be much better, but I didn't have much choice. Ordering it online would double the price because of the shipping. Finally, for wrapping fabric, I went with natural burlap, because it's virtually transparent to the sound, and also cheapest fabric I could find. They had this brown burlap at my local Hobby Lobby store, so I got 10 yards of it just in case. Depending on what you have access to, your tools for this job will vary. I have air compressor, so I used brad nail gun for the job. I used 2-inch nails for the frame and 1 inch for the backing. To attach fabric to the frame, you will need a good staple gun. Manual stapler works just fine, but if you have air compressor, then air stapler will make job faster and cleaner. For the first test panel, I used this stapler, but it had problem with driving staples all the way through hardboard consistently. For the rest of the panels, I decided to go with pneumatic stapler. I had another nail gun that can do both brads and narrow crown staples, which I plan to use for the job. That's when I realized that I might have a problem. You see, these staples are very narrow, and they will not provide enough hold for fabric like burlap that has a very low count rating. You can see how much wider T50 staples are. What to do? I really didn't want to use my mechanical stapler. And so I decided to buy the right tool for the job. I'm back, did you miss me? Local Home Depot had this awesome Arrow staple gun in stock for only $39. So not only did I buy one, I decided to do a small unboxing video. Yay! Let's see what's inside. And by the way, this is not sponsored video, I paid my own money for this tool. Packaging looks great. Inside we have a manual, a small bag with oil and 2 hex wrenches. And of course the actual pneumatic staple gun. This thing is beautiful. That's all there is in the box. By the way, best part about this tool is that it uses same T50 staples as my manual stapler. I didn't have to buy any staples because I had few boxes already. Let's see if they fit. Yes, looks like it. But what am I doing wrong here? Time to RTFM. Ah yes, I see, I'm loading them from the wrong end. So you place staples here facing forward and then close it. I also had some problem figuring out how to open this oil container. Don't laugh, it probably needed some to be punctured somehow. But I already had another oil and that's what I used here. About 6 drops should be enough. Connect air hose and let's do a quick test. This is surprisingly satisfying. And now back to your video instructions. For the frame you're also going to need some kind of wood glue. Brad nails alone are not enough. It's the glue that will hold the frame together. Nails in this case will act more like a clamp. I like using Titebond wood glue for my projects. In this case it's Titebond 2, which is waterproof. You don't really need waterproofing as our panels will be indoors, so feel free to use any wood glue that you have on hand. After we build our panels, we'll need some way to hang them on the wall. For discrete mounting, I'll be using these L brackets. To attach bracket to the wall, I will use my favorite wall dog screws. If you're not familiar, wall dogs are great for studless mounting. You don't even need to drill anything, and if you need to remove the screws, they leave a very small hole that can be easily patched. At the same time, they provide pretty good holding power, up to 50 pounds according to packaging. My house has plaster walls, and these screws are awesome for that. You will also need a saw of some kind to cut the pine boards. Best one for the job is electric miter, of course, also known as chop saw. In worst case scenario, you can use hand saw, but it will take you forever. Let's start cutting. Get your pencil, measuring tape and square if you have one. Mark 46.5 inches on your first board. This is for the long sides of the frame. On the second board, draw a line at 16.5 inches mark. I can never do repeat cuts that are exact, so for this reason I'm going to cut 2 boards at the same time, even if it means I waste a little more material. Make sure that you align them at the edge and use clamps to prevent movement. Also take into account your saw width, which is usually 1/8 of an inch. Be very careful when making cuts. Wear safety glasses and don't cut off your fingers. This is a very dangerous power tool, and I will not be held responsible for any injuries. Since I'm making 4 panels, I will cut 2 more boards at the same length of 46.5 inches using this method. Then proceed to cutting boards for the short sides of the frame. Each 8-foot board yields 5 short sides, so 2 8-foot boards are more than enough. It's important to mark pairs of the boards right after the cuts, because you know they will be the same length as you're cutting them in parallel. I marked mine as A, B, C and D. Next day weather was much nicer, so I decided to go outside. Now let's start assembling our panels. Fill your air compressor and set pressure to about 90 psi. Pour some wood glue into a small container and use something like a piece of stiff cardboard for application. As mentioned earlier, I will be using pneumatic nail gun and 2-inch 18-gauge brad nails.
The
Let's cut hardboard. To save on material, I made backing half an inch narrower than frame at 15.5 inches. Mark on both sides and draw cut lines. You can use saw to cut hardboard, but I used utility knife to score and break it. Can't say it was easier. Perhaps table saw would have been a better choice. To attach hardboard to the back of the frame, I'm using 1-inch brad nails. Gotta admit, I did a pretty crappy job of making square frames. Or perhaps I didn't cut hardboard correctly. Because of that, backing didn't fit right and I had to trim off edges that were sticking out. I remember the dreaded handsaw? Yeah, I had to use it in the end. Next step is cutting fabric. I laid burlap on the floor, measured 58 inches in length and made a cut. Burlap that I used was around 48 inches wide, so that gave me only about 24 inches in width for each 16-inch panel. That was just barely enough to wrap it around, so I had to make my cuts very carefully. I folded fabric lengthwise as straight as possible and used some weights to hold open end while I made the cuts on the opposite side. Time to finish our panels. I laid burlap on the workbench and put on some gloves. You will want gloves and long sleeves when handling Rockwool insulation, as it's very similar to fiberglass material and can be very irritating to skin. Next, I loaded my favorite tool with T50 staples. I made the mistake of loading very long 9/16 inch or 14mm staples. Do not use staples this long. Shorter ones like 10mm will work better. Align fabric first to make sure you have equal lengths on all 4 sides. Start by stapling in the middle of the longer side. Then stretch and staple at the very end. Add few staples in between on this half, then go to the opposite corner on the same side and repeat. Go to the opposite side, stretch fabric towards you as much as possible without ripping it, and again staple in the middle. Then staple it just like you did on the other side, but also keep pulling towards yourself to keep it stretched. Now do the short sides, same way as you did longer ones. Don't forget to fold corners neatly and staple them to the back. I didn't do that good of a job in the corners because I'm terrible at wrapping gifts. After all sides are stapled, cut the excess fabric. All done! Well, almost. We still need to hang them in the room. To hang panels, find suitable height and location and mark it. I used self-leveling laser to make this job easier. Each panel is supported by 2 L brackets, so mark holes accordingly and attach L brackets upside down using wall dog screws. Then attach each panel from the top to the brackets with the wood screws that came with the brackets. It's possible to do this on your own, but try to get some help to hold them while attaching. I used 3 brackets on this larger 30-inch panel. It was fun making these acoustic panels, and they made a huge difference in my room, virtually eliminating any echo I had here. I still think there is room for improvement, because they did not come out looking as good as I was hoping. They still look fine, but you can see wooden frame through some of the burlap, so I'm thinking I might be adding more fabric on top of this, maybe later. But for now they work, and I think it was definitely worth it making them. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give me a like, and if you want to see more, subscribe. If you have any comments, questions or suggestions, please feel free to leave them below. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time. Bye!